Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick. Welcome to Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening Woman. Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. This is the optimal state to embody in order to attract our highest desires. Who is the awakening woman? She's a woman who's seeking a greater possibility in her reality and looking for solutions. She knows being awakened is not a lofty ideal, but a necessity. If she can transform herself, she can change the world. Her Conversations will introduce you to talented women who will speak to your spirituality, sensuality and soul. They share their stories and explain how they are in service to the world. So let their words and these conversations embolden and inspire you. This week's episode of Her Conversations is a compilation of answers from some of my previous guests. So thank you to Diana Morris, Kerry O'Sullivan, Sydney Weiss, Lenice Brothers, Maureen Obi, Ramsha Essa, Yvonne Douglas, Onyi, Angelica Christi, and Dr. Ebony Butler. I start each episode by asking my guests the same question, and although their responses differ, the sentiment and the understanding of what her means is the same. The question is, her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. When do you feel you're most her?
I feel that when I am in a state of just being the balanced observer, like being able to really look at life and love everything I see, no matter what's happening. And it's not even loving it, it's just acknowledging it. It's just supporting whatever is taking place. Because I do know on such a deep level that each of us is connected to that for some reason, or we wouldn't even be able to view it. It wouldn't even come into our energy field. So I do really feel like I'm in my most sacred self or space, not including, say, states of meditation or something like that. But when I'm in the world and I can really just observe people and their conflicts and what's happening around me and just be in love and gratitude, because I know it's just also an affirmation that I'm not getting sucked into it, where I realized maybe 6 months or a year before I would have been triggered by it or sucked into it. So yeah, and I really do believe family is our best teacher. You know, a lot of people don't want to be around their families because they're this, they're that, they're the other thing. But I really believe that we divinely chose them for a reason, for ourselves, and it has nothing to do with anyone else.
I think with me, I feel the most energetic, which I believe is the question. I feel the most energetic when I'm doing something that I love.
It's when I'm like truly, truly connected to me, when I'm in that place where I'm able to accept all of me, and that's the me that's quite vulnerable or the me that's kind of hyperactive, whatever that side is. But it's when I'm truly connected and I've got that awareness of myself, because when you get busy you can kind of forget about that awareness. And I think when I'm really there and I'm really in my power, that's when I've got true awareness, and I'm also able to kind of ride with whatever that is, you know, whether it's a kind of a big storm or whether it's kind of a calm ocean. I'm kind of there anyway, and I'm truly connected to her.
I definitely feel that I am more kind of like resonating with my higher energy when I am operating in my passion, which is either doing psychology work, therapy, or doing food relationship work. I really feel like my higher self in those times. And I really feel fueled and energetic and actually recharged when I'm able to take the knowledge that I have and share that and pour that into other women who can reach their higher selves. So that would be the moment that I would say.
When I have been, when I fully meditated, what tends to happen is that's when that higher energetic resonance just shines through. So at the beginning of each day, that's probably when I'm the most, when I feel her the most, because that's when I start my day with meditation and some rituals.
I feel at my most her when I am having conversations with people and really getting to the core of who they are, who I am, and how we ended up where we are in life. I think one of the most fascinating things to me is the how and why people do the things they do. I just am naturally curious, because I just think with any day that you get to wake up, you choose to make a decision, you choose to do certain things. So I want to know why. So for me, being at that higher resonance is really being able to know that answer for myself each day, and then also helping other people figure it out for themselves along the way.
I love this question. And I've been thinking about it the more that I listen to your episodes and all of the incredible, just what people share. But for me, it's connecting, it's sharing, it's having the opportunity to really explore who we are, both I think as individuals, but also as a community. And so when I'm doing this, when I'm talking, when I'm sharing, when I'm also spending time being introspective with myself. And those are those moments really at any point during the day where I just take a moment to be with me. That's really when I feel her, when I feel that higher energetic resonance, when I feel connected, when I feel at home within my body is both those moments of connection, but also those moments where I get to just be with me.
I feel my most her when I am working with my clients, especially in a group setting. I just feel in that space of real empowerment and making a difference in people's lives. And yeah, I just feel amazing when I'm in that space, really. Yeah, on a spiritual high kind of thing.
That's a great question, actually, and it's not something I think about a lot, but I definitely noticed that. So I was recently on holiday visiting family in the Bahamas, and this is something I'd known about myself for a while, but whenever I'm in the sea, I always feel just a sense of this beautiful energy around me, and I'm definitely someone who loves the water. But what my peaceful moments that I think back on are kind of laying on my back, floating in the sea. So I have a few memories from holidays in Mallorca where we've gone to the beach and I've gone swimming and just floating and looking at the sky and just kind of being aware of my place in the world, and putting into perspective that I'm just a person floating in the sea in this big earth, and it kind of puts everything else into perspective for me. So that's where kind of my energy feels its highest. And I think also just on a day-to-day level, I have a lot of practices that help me increase my energy, and make sure that I'm spreading my energy in the best possible way. So I'm a yoga teacher and I have a daily practice, and that's really important for me to feel grounded. And I notice in the days that I don't do it, and if I don't incorporate breathing alongside of it, I do sort of feel I my energy changes. I get angry easier, and I don't like how I feel. So a daily yoga practice is really, really important for me in that respect.
I feel at my most her when I'm doing ritual or ceremony, whether it's for myself, I think because of my connection to everything and my ability to see symbol and messages and everything, and I could literally come up with a ritual or a ceremony in this moment, in this room, looking at everything that's around me, because I see the connection of life and of all that is in all of it. And I think in those moments where I'm using commonplace items, or I'm using different things symbolically to really tap into my subconscious, to tap into spirit, to tap into whatever messages are in the ethers, whatever messages are around me, to really just ground that into my physical being, or ground that into just a level that I can access it easily. I'm really stepping into and tapping into this higher frequency that allows me then to be open to whatever messages from spirit I receive, whether it's from ancestors, guides, my higher self, whomever. If it resonates, if it feels good, if it helps me to be more of who I am, then I accept all messages. And oftentimes in ritual space, in ceremonial space, for me, I feel that, I'm oftentimes utilizing, whether it's flowers, plants, candles, fire, the earth through stones and crystals, or even soil. I'm really tapping into all the elements to kind of hold space and ground energy for me to then step into that mystery, that void. And where that mystery, that void, and the chaos, that's where all the magic happens. I'm sometimes singing, I'm sometimes praying, I'm sometimes just kind of channeling information. So I think in those moments, I'm just vibrating at such a high frequency. Again, whether it's by myself or if it's in a group of people or with a person individually, because I'm helping them to do that specific work.
So now hear how each of these inspiring women were themselves inspired. We often underestimate the impact that our words have, and not realising that a throwaway statement from one of us can actually be motivation for transformation in another. So my question is, what is the best piece of advice a woman has ever given to you?
This question I love because it's not something that was given to me specifically. Unfortunately, I do not know the speaker in real life, but Shonda Rhimes, who is the creator of, she's a creative titan. She's created Grey's Anatomy, she's created Scandal, and a whole bunch of other shows that have been kind of branching off from that. She used to work for ABC Network, and then she recently signed a deal with Netflix to create for them as well.
Oh, wow.
And when they announced her departure from ABC and went over to Netflix, a lot of reporters framed it as Netflix kind of like luring people away from ABC because Netflix also got some other producers and creative talent and la-di-da-di-da. And in response to that, Miss Rhimes submitted a beautiful tweet in December of 2018, and I've screenshotted it because it just is so great. And she says, "Why do reporters always say writers were lured? Like we're children following a trail of candy. I created a $2 billion plus revenue stream for a major corporation with my imagination. I do not follow trails of candy. I am the candy." And I just loved that, because a lot of times when women in particular, and then women of color, and then Black women specifically, create things or do great work, it's always attributed to something else. It's always attributed to luck, or it's attributed to who you know, or it's attributed to sleight of hand magic show. And it's never really given the due diligence and the due credit that is required and earned. And that's both from people on the outside watching, and then even sometimes from ourselves. I know specifically like imposter syndrome is a legitimate thing where you're not able to acknowledge or accept that your great work is due to your own talents and hard work. It's because of some external magic, right? So I just love that, because I do not follow trails of candy. I am the candy, right? She's owning what she's done. She's not wrong by any means, because she has an entire block dedicated to her on Thursday night. Her shows, Grey's Anatomy just became the longest running medical drama of all time.
Wow.
And that's from her imagination. So I just think that's such a great piece of advice, is to own your power, own your expertise, own your skills and talents, and own your product, because you're not following anyone else's trail. You are the prize at the end of it. So I just love that so much.
Best piece of advice. Do you? Yeah, and quite a few have said that. And it, do you? And I just feel that advice is it's simple. In it's just two little words, but it means so much. Just do you. And I say do you without any apology. Be authentically you and embrace your wonderful uniqueness.
Be yourself. And I didn't really understand what that was. I do now. Be yourself.
She was very honest. She said that, what you're doing is not going to be easy. People will judge you. They will try to distract you. They will try to make you shift from your goals. But you just have to keep on doing what you love, and never let any person, anyone tell you what you should do, because they don't know you as well as you know yourself. And especially never let a man get you away from your goals or pursue a different path, because whoever comes in your life, whoever it is, can be a friend, can be anyone, would never make you change something that you have believed in or something that you have dreamed. They would accept you the way you are, and they would accept you, and they would accept your dreams along with you. And it's not just for, a partner. It can be anyone. It can be your friend. It can be a family member. It can be anyone. They'll just accept you with what you're doing and with what you want to do. So that's the best advice I got.
The best piece is really just to do it scared. Do it scared. Do it anyway. Don't let your ideas of perfectionism stop you from actually moving forward. Do it incomplete. Do it not well put together. Do it minus the glitter and gold, and just do it anyway. Do it with fear. And just get out there, because if you don't, you're going to hold yourself back, and you're never going to have a product that actually looks well enough for you to put out. So just do it.
Great. Did you ever do it scared?
Oh, I do it scared all the time. Every single time I go live, I do it scared. Most of my therapy sessions with new people, especially if I'm working with another psychologist as a client, and I'm working with another kind of like person who knows the ins and outs of what I'm talking about. It's scary, because you're like, oh my God, are they going to feel like I don't know what I'm talking about? Like, are they going to call me out on some things? Am I going to sound like I'm BSing them or whatever? So this imposter syndrome tends to happen and come up for you. So I do it scared all the time. All the time.
Okay, so there's two. So there, and this wasn't given to me directly, but it's something that I really have internalized. If you can't be it if you don't see it. So that, I think that was Maya Angelou. And I really think what I do is really powerful in that respect, setting an example as a woman of color in wellness, because there aren't that many of us. And so for me to be doing what I do and being open and being just keep putting out content and getting my point of view out there, I think is really powerful, because women come to me and they say, one of the reasons I wanted to work with you is because you look like me, or I really resonate with what you're saying, and because you look more like normal, like you're not a blonde, willowy model looking holding an apple. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And so that kind of keeps me going. And then the other one is that I think I saw this on Instagram, but I really connected with it.
Yeah.
Is that there are people out there with fewer qualifications, less experience, but more confidence doing the thing that you want to do. And I keep thinking about that, and it really drives me, because I know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of experience and education.
Trust yourself. Go in and trust yourself, and really tap into who you are, and not what society says you should be. It's almost like the remembrance when you came in as a child. There was a knowing until we got it beat out of us. But trust ourselves. Yeah. I think really listen to what people have to say, but then check in with our own body, our own soul, and say, does this resonate with me? And, you know, sometimes it can be a yes, because people used to say this preacher, that preacher, oh my God, they're a horrible person. Why is that person following them? It's like, because that's what they need to hear right now. So that preacher is the perfect person, or that politician is the perfect person, because they're going to get to a point where then they start, there's a part of them that goes, okay, something's not right here. And we keep refining and refining and refining. So it's just a step. It's not anything, there's nothing that's bad or good, because each is a step for us to grow and expand. So I guess trust yourself when you get that inner knowing, and don't let people talk it out. But that doesn't mean shut them off. I'm always open to listening to another point of view, but then I check in and say, is this truth for me? And if it's no, then I just bless it and let it go. That doesn't mean it won't be truth for me down the road, where I go, oh, I didn't see this aspect. But it's just taking your time to get to know you, and how your body, even with food, like you said, it's responding, our environment, everything. Just think of what this body has taken on, the energy of all these things happening, you know, chemicals and chemtrails and vaccines and, you know, animal life in us, or, you know, people that get organs, transplants, they say they've taken the energy of that person on. And sometimes it can be horrible, you know, where they go into deep depression and they go into suicidal thoughts. And then they find out later that's what the person was going through. So I think, you know, that's probably why it's a good reason not to eat animal also, because same thing, we're taking on that energy. And if we want to be connected to our highest divine self, we have to clear out everything that wasn't God-given, everything.
Do you know what? I think it's about just being myself, and actually, vulnerability is power, you know, like that kind of, when I've been told, like, just be yourself. And when you're vulnerable, when you're open, that's when people really do connect to you. Because for so many years of my life, I ran around trying to be Superwoman all the time, and that nothing fazed me. And I don't remember who told me that. It probably the answer to the next question. But I just remember when I finally realised that actually vulnerability isn't weakness. And I think I've got that from various different people, but that was probably one of the major things that has transformed myself, in terms of just me embracing that side of myself, which I ignored and hated for so long.
So I had the opportunity to meet the ancestor now, Maya Angelou, a few years ago, and at an event, and she was sitting down in a chair, and I went to go take a photo with her, and I went to, I think most of us do this. I went to kind of kneel down or bend down a little bit so that I could be, at her level and taking the picture. And she just looked at me. She's like, no. She's like, don't ever bend down for anybody. Received. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever, even in something as kind of seemingly innocent as a photograph, like, do not ever bend down for anyone. Do not lower yourself in order to, match someone. It's one thing to kind of meet people where they're at, or to understand where people are at, and to give them that freedom to be where they're at, but to also just maintain your own frequency and vibration.
Ooh, I love this. I don't think it's one woman in particular, but a message that I've continued to hear and receive time and time again from so many different women, which are often, in my point of view, messengers for what I need to hear most, is stay true to you and allow your voice to be shared. And I think those are two things that we often struggle with, which is staying true to who you are, standing firm within that. And if you know that, your default is this love and this compassion and this empathy, don't allow yourself to spiral into fear, anger, or worry. And then allow your voice to be shared, and recognizing that your voice is meant to be shared. I think often, and I had someone send me an email the other day, which really reminded me of this, which is, she said, I'm not like a prominent healer and I'm not an influencer and I don't have X amount of followers on Instagram and I don't feel I'm successful enough, but I really want to share who I am. And I said, great, let's do it, because you have a voice and a story that's meant to be shared, and choose to continue to share it over and over again, because you're meant to share it. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're perceived as quote unquote successful by societal standards. You have a voice. It's meant to be shared. So stay true to who you are and continue to share your voice.
Once again, thank you to all of those amazing women, and thank you for listening to this episode of Her Conversations. You can find out more about me on my website, which is carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaywhittick.com, Carol May Whittick on Facebook, and Casmic, which is CAZMICK, on Twitter and on Instagram. So until the next week that we meet, have a great one. Thank you.